all the sports news you need. Live.
Hello, very good afternoon to you and welcome to the locker room. We're on until 4 o'clock, so we're going to speed up and talk about the games. And, so get your comments coming in. We're happy to say we're back on Facebook today. Sorry, back on YouTube. We had a couple of issues on Friday night. I think that was to do with the Google Storm. So we're back on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Get your comments coming in. We're here until 4 o'clock. Joined today by the two men. It's always been on the show on a Sunday, but sadly, every time they come on the show, their teams get beat. So I think this is the first time that these two guys have been on the show on a Sunday and their team has won. So I'm happy to say, joined by Alistair and Robbie.
Hi, guys.
Good evening, good afternoon. Sorry, I'm so disorientated by the fact that the Saints have won 2 games in a row. I don't even know what time of day it is.
So we're just going to dive into the game. It gets finished at Tallyhouse between Dundee United and Rangers. United won, Rangers 3, and I think I know what subject that the guys want to speak about. Before we move on to that, the Celtic and Dundee game was postponed yesterday because of the storm that will take place on the 5th of February now. And also, just to keep you right up to date with the women's games today, half time between Aberdeen and Queen's Park. Aberdeen's actually doing better than the men's team, you would say. Aberdeen 3, Queen's Park 0, Montrose 0, Motherwell 4. That is a full-time. So I beg your pardon, the Aberdeen results are full-time result as well. Other full-time results, disappointing for Dundee United men's team and women's team today because they got beat by Partick Thistle by 4 goals to 1. And also full-time Rangers won by 3 goals to 0 against Spartans. Hibs against Glasgow City is 4. And Celtic against Hearts is a weird time for a Sunday night kickoff, 7:45. And so now joined by Regan today to talk about the games. So let's get into it because I know Robbie's itching to speak about the sending off as well. Get to that in a minute. But first of all, before we dive into the sending off, maybe that's the wrong phrase or term, diving in. But Robbie, I thought Dundee United started the game well today.
Yeah, I thought Dundee United started the game very well. Obviously, going into the game, there was a lot of pressure on Rangers. They needed that away win eventually. We know how bad the record's been this season for Rangers away from home. So, getting into this game after what you've got to say, a very good performance at Old Trafford considering the circumstances of the team. I always felt like they could go and get the win, but Dundee United, to credit to them, they started the game very, very well. And obviously, it's the guy again, Sam Dalby, getting another goal on his name. This guy just seems unstoppable. I think Dundee United are glad they've got him till the end of the season now, on a further, extension for Wrexham. So that's a good thing for them. But I thought Dundee United, especially the first half, actually, I thought they were much better than Rangers.
And that's from a Rangers point of view, Alice. It's been a kind of decent week for Rangers, albeit they beat Fraserburgh, but obviously they would have to show a professional performance. And they were only about 2 seconds away from getting a famous point down at Old Trafford. And obviously they won today as well.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. First of all, the game today was a fabulous game. I think everybody would agree with that. It was one of those kind of games where you just, if you've got no dog in the fight, you'll still sit and watch and think, that's a great game of football. The Man United one, you kind of thought, once they got the equaliser, that was them done, they would be okay. And then, of course, as I'm sure we'll talk later on, a couple of minutes later, another goal comes along and that's the game over. And I listened to TalkSport rather than Radio Scotland on that just to get their perspective of it. It was interesting that a guy phoned up who was a Rangers fan who basically said that Man United were a complete embarrassment, which I think was putting it a bit strongly, to be honest. I don't know. I think, Robbie mentioned the fact that their away form's terrible and Dundee United are a good team. So, would it have been a surprise if United got something out of it? Probably not. Does that suggest that Rangers have turned a corner? Possibly, though we've seen it so many times, and then it just the next result's not good for them. So I think everybody reckons that it's work in progress. The storm of people who want the manager out the door, has that gone down a bit? I suspect it probably has, because something like winning for getting the fans on your side. So I still think this is a difficult season for Rangers. I think they're showing signs of improvement. Winning away again, for a relatively few times this season is actually a good thing. So, yeah, good win for Rangers, good week for Rangers, and we'll see where it takes them in the next couple of games.
Regan, I was waiting to see who mentioned Storm on the show first. It took Alistair 6 minutes and maybe 1 second to mention the word Storm. So well done, Alistair, as well, because I think there was a storm on Friday night. But there was a storm at the end of the game to get Regan up at Talladice. But Dundee United scattered well, as I said, and Sam Dolby could get a hat trick today.
Yeah, he could have. Dundee United were very good the first half. They went 1-0 up, then Exposure went 2-0 up as well. The teams are playing pretty well at the moment. As Leicester go 2-1 up against Spurs, so Big Ange could be out of job in about 45 minutes. Dundee United, they played pretty well, but I don't think Jim Goodwin will be too disappointed. It's pretty difficult for Jim Goodwin at the moment in terms of what he can really do. But a very good start to the season, so I don't think he'll be too disappointed.
No, exactly. And Stevenson had a shot for Dundee United as well, Robbie. So, I think the best way to sum up today's game was a game of two halves.
Yeah, and even looking into the second half, Raskin had a deflection that nearly put it into the back of his own net. So Dundee United did get closer, but I think they had the post in the second half as well. So Dundee United definitely created their chances in the game. I credit to Jack Walton and goals for Dundee United. I thought he had another good game, made a couple of good comfortable saves. But Rangers, they just found a way through, and you've got to say, for the amount of criticism that Dessers has got when he, especially that goal he scored, an absolute brilliant goal. The same at Old Trafford as well. He's scored some absolutely brilliant goals this season. I think he's shown that he can play for Rangers week in, week out. I don't think there's any doubt about that. People criticise him because the chances he misses, but the goals he scores, they're magnificent to watch.
I don't know whether Kirika's coming out or not. I don't know if you can see me and Regan as well, but he said hello to Robbie and Alistair. So I think I know who your favourites are on the show. But no, thanks for watching it anyway. And KJ on YouTube, he's a St Mirren fan that gives it away with a St Mirren logo on it. Maybe he's a Morton fan, I don't know. I like to wind people up on a Sunday. Nothing happens, Alistair. Let's get into the meats and bones of the game, right? Because everybody was, I was just warming you up there actually for a great fall. So second half, Rangers got the goals by Plopper again, Matt. Plopper and Dessers. Dessers has had a brilliant week actually, and two brilliant goals. You would see Alistair down at Manchester and up at Talladice today.
Yeah, it's interesting because the thing that everybody says about Dessers is he misses an awful lot. We all saw the meme, with the firing squad saying let Dessers take the shot. I seem to recall there was a guy called Alistair McCoy who used to miss quite a lot of shots for Rangers as well, and he wasn't too bad, So I think most other teams would be absolutely delighted to have, Scottish teams would be delighted to have him on their side. He's clearly capable of scoring good goals. And if I was a Rangers fan, I would want him to stay there. because you're going to get more chances playing for Rangers than you will for probably anybody else in Scotland apart from Celtic. So all he's going to do is actually improve his reputation. The chances are he'll score more goals. They'll get some money for a big move at some stage, which obviously Rangers could do with just now. Makes sense to me. The guy's a good player, and I think he gets unfair criticism.
It's not even just, I mean, it's not even just the fact that he finds the net every time, it's his movement as well. If you watch Dessers' movement, especially in the game against Man United, his movement's terrific off the ball as well.
Robbie, it must frustrate you if you're a Rangers fan, because he misses the open goals, but he scores belters today, and he may get Lucchese, and then on Thursday night he may get Lucchese as well. But I mean, he just misses kind of open goals. I think Andy was on the show on Thursday night, and he says that he's the enigma in the Rangers team. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, I mean, for Dessers, I mean, what Alistair said, about him, he does get a lot of chances. You play with Rangers, so any striker's going to get a lot of chances. I think for Dessers, he's lucky to be playing with Rangers, because let's be honest, if he was playing with any other team in the Premiership outside the Rangers and Celtic, he probably wouldn't be as good, because he just simply wouldn't create enough chances. So him playing with Rangers, I think you see the best in him, and I think you're starting to see the best in a lot of players. I thought another player that was actually quite good today, Tavernier. I thought he had a very good game. Obviously, he's had a lot of doubters as well, which, again, I cannot believe people actually wanted him at the club for a long time.
I was going to say, Robbie, were you surprised to see him in the starting 11 today?
No, I don't think so. I think Tavernier in games like this, you need a leadership. And I actually thought during Man United, Tavernier, I know he switched into centre back at some point during the game. I thought that's actually one of the most comfortable performances he's had this season. I thought he looked very, very good. I just think Tavernier, the reason he doesn't get dropped is I think it gives you that leadership that no many other players on the pitch have. He's been there so long, he's so experienced, he knows what it's like to play with Rangers. So I think he's always going to be a player that, as long as he's at Rangers, probably gets put into the team.
Okay, that's getting about it then. The sending off. Come on, you would be surprised that Rangers won the game, because if you turned on and you never knew the score, you thought Rangers got beat Alistair because they get booed off, but it wasn't. They weren't getting at the team. They were getting at the man in the middle. Today, Igamani gets sent off, even though the ref gets sent to the VAR monitor. Stuck with his decision. Igamani gets sent off. What was your take on it?
You know what? I've heard I don't know if you guys have heard the referee's take on it, because BBC Scotland reported it, put the radio on at the end, and they were saying that I can't remember the exact words that were used, but basically he said he thought it was a deliberate attempt, and because it was deliberate, therefore it was a red card. It must be said that everybody else who was joining in that conversation was saying there's no way it was a penalty. So the fact that it's not a penalty, a red card. The fact is he was saying off. Will it get rescinded on appeal? I think it might.
We're going to come to Paul Donaldson's comments. I know you can't stick about, because you told me, Reagan, that you were going for your bun supper later on. So what's this one? Because Alistair's going to recite a Buns poem today. I'm only kidding, by the way, as well, just because you came Ayrshire. That was all I was thinking of. Robbie, I know that you've got a lot to say about it. So what was your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to Chris Boyd and Chris Sutton after the game, and it's no surprise who thought it was a red card and who thought it wasn't. I cannot believe the referees went over to the VAR monitor and stuck with his decision. I mean, I get it, he does raise the hand. You could probably argue that he's off balance, even if he's not off balance and he's fine on his feet. I still don't think this is anywhere near a red card. I don't even think it's a booting, to be honest. I think, if anything, Diomande actually gets fouled by the push by the Dundee United player, so I think it should probably be a free kick to Rangers before the slap even comes into play. But also, I thought Chris Boyd actually made a very good point that it wasn't used by excessive force, and I don't think it was considered endangering an opponent either. So how the referee can look at that in the monitor and stick with his decision, I just can't believe it. And I did read something. I don't know if anybody confirmed this, but I did read that the VAR team, if they send a referee over to the monitor, that means that the VAR team don't think it was a red card. I think, if I'm right in saying that. So the VAR team basically didn't think it was a red card, then sent the referee over, and he's overturned the VAR decision. I think that's how it worked.
I don't know. I must admit, I don't know if anyone else knows, but that makes sense to me, Robbie, because otherwise, if you agree it is a red card, then you wouldn't send it. You would just say red card, referee's decision. So you're assuming he's got the chance to go and change his mind, and he hasn't done. Maybe he was just doing it to wind up Chris Boyd.
The only way I can see that he's stuck with his choices is because of the movement of the hand.
Yeah, I think it's they'll doubtless. I mean, the sad thing is this will be all over this will be the number one thing about the game, as opposed to the fact that it was a really good game of football. And sorry, hobby horse again. If we didn't have VAR, we just go, okay, red card, get on with it. Not agree with it, but but because we have VAR, then of course we're going to go over it and over it again and again and again, show it from every single angle, and it takes away from the fact that actually it was a great game of football and Rangers deserve to win, and that's really more important if you're a Rangers fan,
The thing for me is though, right, and I do like the sort of the VAR review shows that we get with Willie Collum and stuff. But how many times is it this season already Willie Collum's come on and said, "Oh, this decision shouldn't have been given like this. We're trying to work on trying to fix that problem. It shouldn't be a problem that keeps reoccurring. We should be able to sort this out, and it shouldn't be that we're coming on the show every month and discussing these bad VAR decisions."
But Alistair and Reagan, I mean, you know my thoughts on it. Like, obviously, it was Willie Collum just saying to make the YouTube show as well, but I don't watch it. Only for the simple fact that I call Willie Collum the sorry man, because he basically comes out every month and say, "Yeah, sorry, that wasn't a red card," and whatever. But it's okay him saying that, but they're never going to ref the game again. So to me, I don't know about you and Reagan, Alistair, but to me, I think that's a waste of time. I know why they're doing that, but I just feel it's a total waste of time doing that show.
Reagan, fire away.
I think there's some benefit, because sometimes the actual general fans like us don't know the rules. I know that sounds bad, but we don't. Sometimes there could be rules that we don't understand and we don't know. That maybe that is the reason why they do certain choices. I know I'm just starting up for referees here, but I think there definitely is a benefit. Well, if you look at the Jack Butland one, although that we all knew that it wasn't it was a definite goal for Motherwell, but it was good to see him come out there and front it up and talk about it. And I get what you're saying, Michael. He's going to apologise for it every month about it, but it's still good to get that transparency.
Oh no, I mean, Alistair, I think it's good for a fan's point of view, but I mean, what's the benefit of it?
Well, it's a bit like, the problem is it's a bit late. By that time you've lost the game or whatever else. And does anybody here speak Norwegian, by the way? That might be a good idea. Because I see the Gorgie Boys podcaster saying, Norway's scrap VR now. That's two countries, Scandinavian countries. We're always saying we should try and emulate Scandinavia. The simple fact of the matter is, and I've said this till I'm blue in the face, it sucks the joy out of the game. It destroys the reason for going there. The media yesterday, they were asked about it on Radio Scotland, and they said, oh yeah, they all wanted it, every one of the pundits. Of course they do. It gives them something to talk about. They don't pay to get into games. We pay to get into games. It's just wrong. Why can we not have a vote in this country? Because I can guarantee if we did, the fans would vote to get rid of it.
Reagan, what was your kind of whole take on the kind of sending off? Because I think he sent the wrong man off, but I don't know about you.
I didn't think it was a sending off, but obviously if he's sticking with his decision, he's being bold there. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they say next month, like you said. But yeah, I was surprised. I have to admit that.
Robbie, Alistair makes a good point about it was a brilliant game of football. As I said, it was end-to-end stuff, but the headlines will be about that. Was it a red card? Wasn't a red card? And because it's involving one of the big two teams, this will go on for a week now.
Oh yeah, we'll never hear the end of it. And I mean, it's a shame because, as Alistair said, it was a brilliant game of football. And I actually think there's probably some worse decisions we can go and talk about. I mean, if you look at the Hibs Ross County game, we'll get into that later on. There was
Yeah.
two very controversial decisions in that game as well. So, although this one was probably the pick of the bunch for being the worst of the week, there was other decisions in the game that probably won't get as much spotlight, which is a shame because I think every bad decision should be rightfully called out. But as Reagan said, I'm excited to see the show next month to hear what, especially what the VAR room said during the red card that was going on. I'm really intrigued to hear what they told the referee because I genuinely think they have told the referee that's not a red card and he's went there and then stuck with it, so it'll be interesting.
Did anybody see the Arsenal one the other day? It's an
Yeah,
absolute.
I watched the game live, Alistair, yesterday, and I
Yeah.
think it was a bit debatable.
Well, Mikel Arteta thought it was a bit debatable. I think I heard Keith Hackett on the radio this morning. He was saying, absolutely, the guy should actually be, the referee should be taken off games for a few weeks. And Michael Oliver's their number one referee. They make mistakes. I mean, as you said, Reagan, we don't know the laws, you know. Every fan thinks that, you know, you go and look at the comments after your game, they're always pillaring the referees. Now, I just sat on the radio yesterday and said John Beaton was voted number one referee in the country by Scottish fans, and he was. Now, probably that a lot of them are his fellow referees, but we've got what we've got, whether we like it or not. We've got to stick with the ones we've got because otherwise we don't have a game. And yes, we can improve and we should improve, but I don't think VAR helps them at all because I think they're refereeing the game in a different way, you know.
And Gorgie on YouTube, thanks for watching. He says there is an agenda against Rangers. I think we'll move on from there. And
Also,
and it says that that one was a joke. It was clearly a yellow, but never a red card at the end of the day. That so Reagan, it kind of spoiled the game a wee bit, and you saw Clement's comments that you know, not applauding the fans after the game, but basically shaking his head. You know, but yeah, I mean, all the talk will be about that red card tomorrow because that was Rangers' first away win for a wee while. And all the headlines will be about that red card.
I think it will be, and it's a bit sad because it was like all the guys have said, it was a great match, and I think overall, I think Dundee United will feel pretty hard done by that first half that they put in, but I think overall Rangers showed that they could finally win away from home in Dundee. So it was just good. It was just good for Rangers to get that win. And obviously Celtic didn't play this weekend, so it's back down to 10 points. And Rangers can put it back down to 7 points by the time Celtic play next week. So
And
can
don't forget, sorry, Robert.
No, I was just going to say one more point on the red card. I mean, how many times as well as Willie Collin went on that show and said, we want to stop the referees saying a slowed down version of the decision first. Yet in that game, the very first decision when the referee goes to the monitor is a slowed down picture to his hand. I mean, you know, Collins explaining on these shows exactly what he wants to happen, you know, the changes he wants to happen, but we're getting into these games and it's still the same thing, you know, show them it in real time. In real time, it's, you know, Collins says it every month. It's so much different to when you slow a game down. So, I just love to. I can't wait to hear what Colin has to say because I bet you it's the same stuff he's been saying for like the past 4 months.
I think we will do another VR show. I could see Alistair pulling his hair out as well. But anyway, so we could go on about it a lot, but obviously we've got to move on. We've just got another on the show today. Dundee United 1, Rangers 3, brilliant 3 points for Rangers away. Alistair's got a big smile on his face. I don't know if it's because he's on the show with me and Robbie on a Sunday.
That's what it is.
Or as we say in the West of Scotland, Alistair, aye, right. And or else maybe it was St Johnstone 2, Motherwell 1. And I said to Alistair last night, you wish you were playing Motherwell every week, Alistair, because that was 2 wins out of 2 for Motherwell. Before we get on to the game, the state of that park was terrible, but I think it was more to do with the storm that we had on Friday, Alistair.
Yeah, well, possibly. I mean, it wasn't good at the end of last season either, to be honest. And it's a bit early for Tatties, I suppose. So, yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. And I don't know, because it's been like that for a few seasons now. And if you look at, I think Motherwell had a big problem with their pitch a few years back, and they've got it sorted. Now, bear in mind that it's purpose built on sand. There should not be problems there. So whether it's the storm, whether it's the bad winter, I don't know, but it wasn't good. On the other hand, this may be a cliche, but it's the same for both teams.
Robbie, disappointing for Motherwell again. Stuart Kettlewell's jacket maybe on a sugar they paid, as they say in the West of Scotland. But, 2 wins out of 2 for St Johnstone. You can't argue with that.
Yeah, I mean, Alistair must be happy with the changes. I know you're still quite. I think it's 7 points now adrift at the bottom, but I think the one thing you can see with Valakari is there's change. It's a lot more positive to watch St Johnstone this season than it's probably been the last few years. So I suppose there's always positives you can take. I mean, I know you said about Kettlewell there. I keep making the point that Motherwell are sitting 5th in the league. I mean, ask any Motherwell fan what more do you want out your season so far, because they're only behind a Dundee United team that are very good, obviously Rangers and Celtic, and an Aberdeen team that were very good. They're not anywhere, but they had that big enough point gap that they are still in the top 5. So I'd ask any Motherwell fan what more do you want for your team, because they are sitting where they are, and I get it. It's not a good 2 games. Motherwell fans, no disrespect to St Johnstone, but they probably should be looking at the 2 games gone. We need to at least pick up points, and obviously one was the cup as well. So I think if you're Motherwell, there is room for disappointment, but I'd also argue that with the amount of injuries that they have, and to be sitting in the league where they are, I really don't see how you can want Kettlewell sacked because of that.
And also, Robbie, I mean, we had Stephen on this programme about 6 months ago when Stuart Kettlewell was won in 15 matches, and people were saying stick with him. So I think you need to be realistic as well. I mean, I listened to Tam yesterday when Alistair was on, and they were talking about like what did Motherwell want. I mean, like he was talking about it, he wouldn't mind being in a relegation battle if Motherwell were playing attacking football. I can see what he means there, but I just don't see the kind of reality. I'm sure Alistair would mind St Johnstone playing boring football, but be 5th in the table, because nobody really minds what your score is as long as you're winning games.
I think that's. Sorry, Rob, on you go.
No, on you go.
Okay, right. No, I think that's true up to a point, because to be fair to Tam Cowan, he did actually qualify it by saying so long as they stayed up, because if you're playing brilliant football and going down, then yeah. Interesting though, because and I may have mentioned this before, because our football was so eye-bleedingly bad under Craig Levein, a lot of Saints fans are actually saying they'd rather play decent football and get relegated, because they then feel there's a better chance of coming up. I actually think this is a much broader discussion. It's to do with how football is nowadays and playing out from the back, and it's boring as anything to watch. Therefore, and there's also, the league's so tight, there's no opportunity to play young guys, there's no opportunity to take risks. People don't take on full backs anymore. They always play the ball back and recycle it because that's the way they're taught. And as a result, you know what? The game can be really, really tedious. So that's not a secret. I've said that kind of thing for a long time. In terms of our game, obviously I wasn't at it, but I think the interesting thing going back to the Motherwell manager is that he's been slightly less than tactful with some of his comments about the fans, and I think that's what's not helped, because I agree with all you guys. I think actually, most people would be delighted to be 5th on the table and where they are. But what he said to the fans, I think somebody should have said, look, hang on a second, Stuart, that's not the right kind of approach to take, because that's what's really wound them up.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I actually completely forgot about some of his comments. I remember there was one, and I was getting a lot of abuse for some Motherwell fans for it. I mean, these supporters pay their money. They've got every right to voice an opinion. And I know Kettlewell says stuff like, you'll never understand what it's like to be in the position I'm in. But, we watch football for a living. It's our, it's our weekly hobby. So I don't know. It's a weird one with Kettlewell. I agree that, I don't think some of the comments are smart, but what more if Motherwell were to sack Kettlewell, say tomorrow, who are you going to get in that's going to do better? Because
Yeah.
although, I do get Reagan's point, Motherwell aren't playing the nicest football, but you're never going to get the nicest football in the Scottish Premiership. It's just not how it works, unfortunately.
Robert, Andy Halliday scored the goal from Motherwell yesterday from the penalty spot, and you're thinking, well, it's going to be a long day for St Johnstone after last week's brilliant performance in the Cup, but it did show you St Johnstone came back as well and got a famous victory.
Yeah, I mean, on the penalty, I don't know what, obviously Alistair thought it at the time, but I thought it was Sprangler, if I'm right saying that it was at his hand. I actually thought this was another case of VAR slowing the play down too much. For me, if you watch that in actual time and you watch the slowed down version, the slowed down version is much worse. I mean, Sprangler's trying to run to get back. People are trying to play. I get the point. His arm is in an unnatural position, but if you look at the way he's running, his arms really get basically nowhere else to go in that running motion. So I thought it was an interesting one that actually the penalty was given, but it was a nice penalty for Halliday.
It was a nice penalty. Yeah. Sorry, Mike, on you go.
No.
Yeah, no. You know what? It looked in real time, going back to the real time thing, just from the angle you saw on the telly, like he moved his arm towards the ball. Now, if that's the case, it's a penalty. The thing is, he's been our best player for weeks now. So it was like, could really do like that. And you're right, Halliday's, it was a very good penalty. I may say, by the way, the boy Fisher, the new goalkeeper, looks pretty good. I'm tempting fate when I say that, but he's made a big difference to the defence. And at that point, I thought, when obviously I was actually coming back from the BBC and I put the radio on and I just thought, we're going to lose this. And of course, there was 5 minutes to go. And Biscuits was being quite negative about Saints, which didn't help either, considering he's normally very positive. And don't get me wrong, I think everybody knows whose side he's on because he loved this time with St Johnstone. And then when we got the equaliser, I thought, well, okay, that's, I'll settle for that. And then 2 minutes later, we get what turned out to be the winner. I'll be honest, at that point, I switched the radio off. I thought, I can't take this. I suspect some people, other football fans, will understand what I'm saying. I thought, we've got how many minutes to go? Switch the thing off because I can't stand listening to it because it'll just be too much,
Second half, Alistair, Mickey Clark had a shot, and that's the thing about St Johnstone this season. Everybody says, "Oh, St Johnstone's going to go down," but they actually forget that they've got Mickey Clark in there, and they're okay. He's not scored for a while, but he's got a decent player.
He's a very experienced player, and he's capable of scoring. And I think Sidibe came on; he played well. Kimpioka, he'll be away. It looks like Sanders will be away as well. He's been linked very strongly with Gillingham. We've got another Latvian coming in. Bear in mind, yesterday we're playing Sprangler basically in the middle of central defence. He's not a central defender. I mean, again, Motherwell have got their injury problems, but so did we. So, you know what? I'm just delighted. It gives us a chance. I wouldn't put it any stronger than that. We're still massive favourites to go down. We've got a game. Let me try and think who it's against, Robbie, next week. If we played like we played in the first half against St Mirren at St Mirren the last time, I managed to do it for 2 hours, we might win. If we play like we played in the second half, we'll get beat about 5-0.
And what's your... Sorry, Robbie, on you go, mate.
No, I was just going to say that I know Alice was pointing Fisher on goals. I mean, I actually thought it was kind of funny again, going back to Kettlewell, some of Kettlewell's points. He brings in Balcombe, who I've got to watch every game this season. I thought it was quite funny that Kettlewell says that Balcombe's best strength was coming out for crosses and being really demanding in set piece areas, where St Johnstone's one of St Johnstone's goals anyway came for a set piece where he didn't come out and demand his area, and also he's never done that for St Mirren. So I don't quite know where Kettlewell is getting that sort of information from. I mean, look, Balcombe is a good goalkeeper. I thought he actually made a few good saves yesterday for Motherwell, but I actually think his weakest quality is his, set piece and him demanding these box, which, I just thought that was quite odd. But it is going to be an interesting game in place next week. I don't think I don't think it'll be easy for us by any means. St Johnstone, even the last time we played them, I said the standard of football and the style of football that Ballycally plays, it's so much different to what we're used to seeing at a St Johnstone team that they make it difficult, and you did for the first half in the last game.
Yeah. No, the question
Ah.
about Josh Ray, by the way, I can answer for you. Josh Ray wasn't on the bench yesterday. Sinclair was on the bench. The people at the club will wonder what's happening to him, but my understanding is that he was ill.
There you go. So Regan, 2 back-to-back results, and you know how when you're going to ask a question, you're like that. Why am I going to ask this question? But do you think that they're going to kick heart going into the game next week against Shut Your Ears, Robbie, St Mirren? I think they are going to kick a lot of heart because Regan's in mute. So
I think St Johnstone will take a lot of confidence for the last 2 weeks. But on the flip side, St Mirren have just been up to Aberdeen and won 3-0. And I know people like Paul Donaldson will probably say that that's not very hard to do at the moment because Aberdeen are playing so bad. So I think overall it will be a hard game to call. But I think St Johnstone will go in there knowing that they can win now. Because Alistair will tell you, see when you're winning now, that can become a habit. So the players will be a lot more streetwise. They'll be thinking that I have a chance. Whereas a few weeks ago they were getting beat every game. The confidence was low. They weren't feeling good about themselves, but now they get back-to-back wins, so they'll be feeling good about themselves. And I don't know who Ross County are playing, but they'll be hoping that Ross they can lose a couple of games. Obviously, Motherwell are playing Celtic, so they'll be hoping that a few teams can get dragged into it.
Robbie, I just wanted to touch upon this before we move on. And I know that you spoke highly on the programme about what else does Motherwell fans want. Leo makes a comment on YouTube to say Kettlewell needs to be sacked. But my kind of point on that would be if Kettlewell keeps coming out with comments what he did after the game last night to the media, it's not helping him. It's not helping his relationship with the fans any easier.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, football these days is so much. Fans want to be connected as much as possible. So when you're hearing the manager coming out and making some of the points he's making, it's obviously not going to sit well with you. But I'd be interested to hear, why Leo wants Kettlewell to be sacked, and if it is just because of some of Kettlewell's media's comments, because you need to look at the season Motherwell are actually having. Again, they're sitting in top 5 right now, which, in a league where it's so tight, especially this season, it's impressive that they're up there. They've been on a bad run before. I know it's a bad couple of results, and they probably, if you're getting into that late stage, shouldn't be losing the game for that position. But, Motherwell are so on and off that when they get their injured players back, and I must say Lennon Miller has been a big miss for Motherwell, when they can get players like that back, I'm sure they'll switch on form again. I'm sure they'll keep going at a league. So I'd be interested to hear any Motherwell's point of view. Why do you want them sacked, and if it is just because some of the media comments that he made.
Let's move on now to another happy boy. It is St Mirren away up to Aberdeen, and by the way, Alistair, me and Regan's always happy, so we're giving you a wee shot to get in the show first, James.
I'll tell you that. I'm watching this game.
Yeah, well, yeah, behind the couch, I can see the couch behind in front of you. Yeah. Aberdeen 0, St Mirren 3. Robbie, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, Regan said a couple minutes ago about it not being hard to go to Pittodrie and get a win, but we were also 4 games without a win in the league, so this game was very, very big. Looking into the game before it, I actually thought if Aberdeen are going to change that run and start winning again, it would have been this game, because it just had that feeling about it. But listen, we were excellent from start to finish as well. I mean, there was various comments by Aberdeen fans after the game going, St Mirren are just a hoofball team. It gets you goals, and it's funny because if you actually look at the 3 goals we scored, they all come for long balls up the pitch. So I thought that was quite funny. But look, I mean, the lineup, it takes a lot for Robinson to change his system a lot, and I know we can play with the 3 in the middle and we can play with the wingers, but it worked this game and he got it spot on, you know, playing with that three in the middle. Boyd Muntz, I thought it was probably one of the man of the matches of the game. I thought he totally controlled the midfield. But, you know, it's not often you get an Aberdeen midfield where Shinnie has an off day. Usually he's quite on the ball, he's quite good. I thought Aberdeen were completely flat in the middle of the park, didn't create much, to be honest. It was good to see Callum Penman start. Unfortunately for him, it was cut short after about 30 minutes due to an injury. I hope he's alright. I know he played in the B team game today in the cup, so it'll be interesting to see how that one turns out. But I thought also playing Mandron and Olasanya up front absolutely worked a treat as well. You know, that's two strikers that various St Mirren fans over the past 2 weeks have said they simply don't want at the club anymore, which is astounding to me. You know, these are two guys that apparently don't score enough goals when Olasanya scored more goals than guys that you're bringing back for loan. It is classic St Mirren fan comments for some of our fans. But no, listen, I couldn't have been happier with the 3 goals we scored yesterday. They were brilliant. Obviously with the help of Rubizic quite a lot.
Yeah, the first one.
Aye, the first one especially. I actually thought though, although Rubizic made the mistake of the header, I thought it was very smart for Olasanya to keep chasing him down, because it would have been so easy knowing that the defender's just going to head it back to the goalkeeper to just stop running and keep going. But no, he kept going and went and nicked the ball, so that was good. Obviously Rubizic with the second goal as well wasn't very good. That one came for another long ball up the park for Phillips. I don't know how Olasanya's managed to nick in front of him, but Rubizic looked like he was towing a caravan on his back during that goal.
Robert, I just want to get asked you. Me and Reagan was talking about the game in Friday night, and we were saying about St Mirren has did well up and down season this season, but it didn't help with Sean Rooney and all that. The headlines kind of off the park. Do you feel that a kind of like result like that yesterday would move the focus back on the team instead of get off the park?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, when that happened and the 3 players got released, I was sort of saying, you know, we need signings, because it's still a very bare bones team. I know Robinson said in the press that he's looking to get 2 or 3 more bodies in before the window shuts, but you know, I think that just shows how far we've come, that when that happened, you know, you're sort of looking going, what's going to happen now for the season? But we'll sort of only get stronger, you know, that sort of phrase, you know, anything can happen, but we'll only get stronger sort of stuff. The team has a real togetherness. I mean, you've seen the full-time celebrations after the game yesterday. Everybody with a smile on their face and everybody looked involved. It's just so positive to see right now, and I cannot believe that, you know, after that 4 games, you know, losing one, there was a lot of harsh comments said about the gaffer and the team, but I think it's always just, you know, it's quite reactionary sometimes for some of the fan base. I mean, I don't think it was ever going to be as bad as people are making it. You know, we're getting touted to go into a relegation battle at some point. So, I mean, it just shows you how together the squad actually is, that we can go to Pittodrie, you know, and we have no right to go to Pittodrie and win 3-0. That's an Aberdeen team that I'll know they've not won now in 13 games in the league, but that's a very still strong Aberdeen team. You know, we've got no right to go up there and score 3 goals, and you've got it was deserved as well. I think bar the, you know, the first 20 minutes of the second half, I thought we were totally all over Aberdeen.
Alistair, I don't know about you, but I'm interested in asking Reagan what the hand signals are about. I don't know if he's going to apply for the job at the airport, you know, when the guy planes in off the runway, or else maybe he's showing Postecoglou to the airport. I'm not really sure about that one. Reagan, as for Aberdeen, worrying times there, because we spoke about Stuart Kettlewell. You know, Jimmy Killeen might be under pressure as well. The last time Aberdeen won a league game was in November.
I am so surprised, Michael, because Aberdeen, they done really well at the start of the season. They were absolutely brilliant. And I don't know I really don't know what's happened to them. I really don't. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if they're just not being drilled the same. I don't know what it is. But I would be interested to know for Aberdeen fans, like, is there a big difference watching them live? Like, is there a big difference in tempo? Is there a big difference in attitude? I'm just genuinely interested to know what's happening with Aberdeen.
Well, there's a few comments here from Paul Donaldson here. He may get it on before he went away. It says, yep, can't stay for too long, but the result from Aberdeen yesterday was utterly disgraceful and embarrassing. Not in Robbie's eyes, it wasn't. Lucevic should have never played for Aberdeen again. And another comment here. Some fans are calling for Jimmy to be sacked. I'm interested to hear what Arl's saying, because I'm not going to ask Robbie about that. Just after the game yesterday, he said that it's not that he is not the answer. Well, I suppose, like we spoke about this earlier in the season, if Jimmy has to go, you've got to ask the owner of Aberdeen as well, because that's 3 failed managers he's picked. We can't just keep sacking managers every season. A lot of players need to go, and the board should be sacked. It makes a lot of interesting points here, but I mean, I think that the team has got to step up to the mark as well, guys.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, you think about Aberdeen, the size of Aberdeen. I don't know what their finances are like just now, but I'm guessing they're probably okay. You know, it's one of Scotland's big clubs outside the Old Firm, you know, and therefore you look at the guys they brought in, they're on bigger wages than most other clubs. They should be better, and they looked in the first 10 or so games like they were going to have a really good season. And yes, they had a fairly easy run in of games at the start of the season, but I think Reagan hit the nail on the head earlier on when he talked about confidence, because I've seen it at my club. When you start losing, everything seems to go wrong. And then you look at that first goal, and if you're an Aberdeen player, you're just thinking, here we go again. You know, I mean, it was Keystone Cops stuff. And I appreciate none of you guys remember the Keystone Cops because you're all far too young. In fact, I don't remember that either, because even I'm not that old. But you know exactly what I mean. It really was. If it was your own team, you'd be absolutely raging. And you can see that in Paul's comments. He's obviously not very happy about it. Aberdeen should be absolutely, like Hearts and Hibs, they should be in the top 6 in Scottish football. But because it's football, that's why we like it so much, they're not always able to do that. And that's why St Mirren, St Johnstone, other teams can occasionally get there and have success. If it was the same every year, it'd be really, really boring. But again, you just look at it, it's to do with money and wealth and how much, you know, can you pay players. So there's clearly something wrong, but Paul's also right. You don't just keep firing managers. I mean, that would be an admission of complete failure on the part of the owner and the board.
I'm a bit worried about Reagan, Robbie. I hope he's okay. Actually, I hope he's not telling people where to go. In fact, maybe he is. Angie, get out. Before we move on to speak about the other 2 games yesterday, before we finish up, Robbie, it's all right getting a brilliant result away to Aberdeen, but now can you back up next week?
We need to back it up next week. If St Johnstone come to Paisley and we lose, suddenly we're back to square one again. I mean, there's been multiple times this season we've gotten results and then blew it in the next game. I mean, the Rangers one's the obvious one. Beating Rangers at home, you know, grinding at that result. Everybody's doing the basics to then, you know, go 4 games on a losing run and no doing the basics right. I mean, Alistair, you made that point there about, you know, confidence. I actually thought when we were in that 4-game losing run, the Dundee United performance sticks out to me, that even though we're in that losing run, we're still looking very positive, and that's what's weird about this season for us. We can be losing games, but still look very, very positive, which I think is the negative thing for Aberdeen.
I think, Robbie, did you know miss a penalty in that game or not? Did you know?
I always think I missed a penalty, missed a 1-on-1 as well. So I mean, although, you know, we're losing games, we're still looking very good. And Reagan, I know you made the point about Aberdeen there, about, you know, where has it gone wrong? They look very out of confidence. They look like they don't know what to do. You know, they sort of pass the ball. You know, doing, I don't know how many times they could a goal kick and pass it straight to the centre back, but it's all they were doing. You know, it was just very forward and backwards. And I think what summed it up for me, you know, Aberdeen's confidence was Rubizic actually apparently asking to be subbed off. I mean, if that doesn't show you how low in confidence the Aberdeen players are, then I don't know what does, because they looked very, very lacklustre in that game. But we need to follow this up with a win against St Johnstone.
How do you think that is, Robbie? Because the first 11 games, Aberdeen won 10.
Yeah, I think it all changes when that Celtic game comes in. I think if they lost that semi-final, by the occasional 2 or 3-0, then I don't
But
think.
surely, I mean, Michael said the same thing last week, but surely it can't just be down to one game. It can't just be down to one game.
No, I don't think it's down to one game. But when you lose that heavy and then you can't bounce back, you're continuously losing games. It does knock the confidence for that game to the game yesterday. Even after yesterday's game, that's the confidence getting knocked in even more. And I think it also, I'm not trying to say it's for one game. I think I'm, trying to say that it comes from that one game. That's your sort of building block. That's where it starts, and then it only keeps getting worse.
Okay, then. So I'm not calling for Jimmy's head at any stretch of imagination here. But how long does it go on? How long does it go on and no winning the games?
It's a fair point. I agree with you, but I don't think Thelin should be sacked. I don't think that's right to sack him, especially this early. But you're right in making that point. Where is it going to change? Where are Aberdeen going to get that win? Because it's fine beating Elgin in the cup, but you need to be able to come and get wins in the league.
Okay, let's go on to talk about the game at Tynecastle yesterday. It was an absolute belter of a game, and I'm not talking about the Edinburgh Festival. It was Hearts 3, Kilmarnock 2, Reagan. What a game of football!
It was. I want to get you guys' thoughts because the first goal, I know Chris Sutton and Boyd were debating on it this morning. So what do you guys make on the first goal for Hearts? What did they talking about? The player is in an offside position has impacted the goal.
Yeah, I think it's Kabanga. I could be wrong. I think it's Kabanga up front that's in the offside position. And he purposely fouls a player. And I think Boyd said it. No matter if you're offside, I know you can't intentionally foul a player. And you can clearly see with his movement, he knows exactly where the Kelly defender is. So for me, the goal should have been ruled out.
I thought the thing that was, well, I take the point, but the thing that struck me about that goal was the fact that you had two Hearts players who were obviously trying to have a volley on target and both made a complete mess of it. And it was only as a result of that it fell to the boy who knocked it in. So I found that quite entertaining because you watched and they were clearly trying to actually get a first, volley on target and both made it complete horlicks of it. And just the way the ball felt, they scored the goal. So, at the time, I just watched the highlights back, obviously, and I've seen worse. Let's put it like that. I mean, if it was my team, I'd be, let's just get on with it,
Robbie, we spoke about Stuart Kettlewell, and we spoke about maybe by Jimmy Killeen about Aberdeen, but Neil Critchley. That was a big result for him because apart from winning in the cup last week, he was not winning games and the fans weren't happy.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the greatest start for Crouchley. I think obviously, taking for what Naismith done was always going to be difficult. I think now he's had a chance to get his own signings in. They're making an impact. I mean, 2 of the 3 goal scorers for new signings, Kabanga and McCart. So he's clearly been, given that freedom to go and sign who he wants to sign. It's working, and it's a massive win for Hearts, and I think it's something for them to build on because for what I read online, a lot of the Hearts fans, they like Crouchley. I think they also like the way he speaks in the press. What we were talking earlier about how bad Kettlewell is. Some of his comments. I actually think Crouchley's the opposite. I think everybody loves Crouchley in the press. He speaks very well, so it's a good building block for Hearts.
And that's for Kilmarnock. Alaska, will come to you because I know that you know Dell very, very well at his days at Saints as well. He's been off unlucky last season, losing his goalkeeper last week at Parkhead. And, I think they had about 4 or 5 injuries out the team for yesterday. But okay, they get beat yesterday, but they put up a good fight.
Kilmarnock are a good team. I mean, I think they had a bad start of the season because they obviously had the European stuff and they were struggling. I mean, we beat them. That's how bad they were, I think we beat them twice. That's how bad they are. But I'm surprised at where they are in the league because they've got good players. Going back to the thing about playing attractive football, they've got width. They use it properly. They've got a big, powerful centre forward. It's the kind of football you want to try and see. But for whatever reason, it's just not going right for them. And I'm surprised that I would have thought most Saints fans would say if there's any club we've got to overtake, it's Ross County, not Kilmarnock or Hearts. Hearts are now I remember Graham on the show talking at some length about how bad Hearts were, but nobody, including I suspect him, thought that they were ever going to do anything apart from start to get their act together. And I think it'll be interesting to see what happens next season, because obviously they've got this investment from down south, all the data to see whether that makes a big difference. That will be interesting.
Alistair, you spoke about confidence. I actually thought that's I think I was speaking about confidence. I think that's the one thing that Kelly team's lacking right now. I know they've got a very good team, but I think they're lacking in confidence to go out and get any wins.
Yeah, no, I think that's true, and I take your point, Robbie. Any team, you could see going back to Aberdeen, the first 10 games, confidence was sky high. You start losing, I think there's a comment there again, winning is a habit, but so is losing. Aberdeen can't get out of this rut. And then things go wrong, you lose the last minute goals, etc. And yeah, Killie, the confidence will be down. Now, I haven't actually spoken to anybody locally for a couple of days about Kilmarnock. I've got a lot of friends who support Kilmarnock living where I do. And I think they still think they'll be all right. And I think they will be all right, but they're gonna have to start winning games. And that, I know that's stating the obvious. But no, I think you're right, Robbie. You can see dents in the confidence, and they've got a good experienced manager. That helps a lot. That really does help,
I think we've got to the bottom of what Reagan was pointing at during the game, that Angie Reagan that now has to go down to London. He's got to pick Angie up, and he's got to throw him in the airport.
Be away, Michael, be away. There's no chance that you can sit 16th in the Premier League. No matter how bad your injuries are. No matter how bad your injuries are.
Let's move on to the most exciting game of the weekend, and I've left this game to last because it was very end-to-end stuff. Ross County won, Hibs won, Robbie.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've not got much time left, so I'm not going to ramble on about VAR because I could spend literally all day talking about that. But what I will say is on that first penalty again, I think it slowed down, and the referee being shown it slowed down makes a real difference. If you're watching it real time, I don't even think Darren can see the ball coming to him. So I don't think the first one was a penalty. I thought, first of all, credit to the Hibs fans that travelled up. I think there was about 900 of them that made that trip.
Yeah,
that really impressed.
Yeah.
With the pitch conditions when they helped you on, I think the biggest talking point for Hibs is, we got the goal and they looked in control, but that pitch conditions, it just makes it so horrible to try and get a win. So I think both teams will be happy with a point, considering the way the game went and the pitch condition.
Yeah, Alaska. I was just being a bit tongue in cheek there, leaving the best game to last because it wasn't the best game to even see the highlights.
No, it wasn't. But I kind of agree with Robbie. I mean, Hibs, again, listening to the open all mics in the radio yesterday afternoon, the impression you got was that Hibs were the better team. But Ross County are good at home. That's their strength. So them coming back wasn't really a surprise. I mean, yeah, let's just pass on the VAR. That was nonsense. I mean, I can see why Sprangler was given that one in real time. Just get on with the game. Mind you, it was a shocking penalty. It really was. It was really, just the guy could have put his cap on it. And then second penalty was obviously a lot better. All Saints fans are looking at Ross County and thinking, when are they going to start dropping points? They're not. That's the problem for my team. Ross County just keep on grinding out and finding goals from somewhere. And when you think they're going to lose, they either come back and win, as we know they've done, or they get a draw. And fair play to them from that point of view.
And get the best fans award. And I know that you were given the best fans award out yesterday, but I would agree with Robbie. Hibs fans, they were brilliant going up there in the numbers, especially after the scoring on Friday night. Right, guys, that's us out of time. Before we go, I'll round up the women's football for you. Again, final score, Aberdeen 3, Queen's Park 0, Mancross 0, Motherwell 4, Packet Thistle 4, Dundee United 1, Spartans 0, Rangers 3, Kempas 4, kick-off between Hibs and Glasgow City. So that's a bit of a derby there, I would say. And quarter tonight is Celtic against Hearts. So thanks for watching. And we will be back. Big week next week, back on Wednesday and Thursday for Celtic and Rangers in Europe. And we might be joined by Reagan's pal Angie, live from the airport somewhere down under.
He's not going to be in charge anyway.
It'll,
Yeah.
it'll be a live for the employment exchange.
The job centre.
He might take Aberdeen, that's what suits him.
Yeah. So thanks for watching. Thanks to Robbie, Alistair, and Reagan, and we'll see you on Wednesday night.
The Locker Room, with all the sports news you need. Live.